The chamber was silent, too silent. Cameras zoomed in, reporters leaned forward, and an audience of millions at home held their breath. It was one of those rare moments in politics when the entire room seemed to freeze, waiting for the thunder that everyone sensed was about to strike. In the center of the storm stood Senator John Kennedy, his sharp eyes fixed on Representative Ilhan Omar. She had just finished a fiery speech that stirred both applause and outrage, but Kennedy, known for his wit and unshakable presence, was about to deliver a response that no one would ever forget. "Representative Omar," he began, his voice calm yet cutting, "you remind me of a person who shows up at a dinner party, insults the host, criticizes the food, and then demands a bigger portion." The room erupted, some gasped, some laughed, and others leaned forward with wide eyes as if watching history being written in real time. Omar froze, her face tightening, unable to find words quick enough to counter the blow. In that single line, Kennedy had taken all the criticisms of her controversial statements, all the frustrations people had quietly murmured for years, and condensed them into a metaphor so sharp it felt like it cut through the air itself. But this wasn't just a political sparring match, it was a collision of worldviews, a clash of identities and pride. Omar had built her career on boldness, on challenging norms, on being unafraid to speak truths as she saw them. Kennedy, however, embodied the old-school grit, the steady hand that didn't shout but sliced with precision. As the chamber filled with murmurs and chatter, Omar attempted a response. She tried to regain her footing, pointing out the struggles she had fought through, the communities she represented, the voices she believed were silenced. But her words stumbled, sounding less like conviction and more like desperation. Kennedy, standing tall and unshaken, simply raised his hand slightly, as if to quiet the noise. He continued, softer now, but with a gravity that pulled everyone closer. "Public service is not about how loud you speak. It's about how deeply you listen. It's not about dividing people, it's about bringing them together, even when it's hard. And if you think tearing this country apart is leadership, then you've mistaken destruction for courage." The silence that followed was deafening. Omar lowered her gaze. The moment stretched endlessly, every second hammering in the reality that this was not just another debate. This was a turning point. For the days that followed, the media exploded. Clips of Kennedy's line went viral, replayed millions of times on social platforms. Commentators across the spectrum debated its meaning, but the public now they had witnessed the unraveling of her political figure's armor. Omar's once confident image now seemed fragile, diminished, as if the sharpness of Kennedy's words had peeled away the certainty she had always worn so proudly. But beneath the spectacle, there was something deeper. For many watching, as students, parents, immigrants, veterans, this wasn't just about Kennedy or Omar. It was about accountability, about the power of words to either heal or divide. People began asking themselves what kind of leadership they wanted to follow. Was it one that fed off outrage, or one that called for responsibility, unity, and humility? Omar, in the weeks that followed, faced a reckoning. Her speeches grew quieter, her audience smaller. What had once seemed like a career climbing steadily upward suddenly stalled. Kennedy's single line wasn't just a witty comeback, it had been a mirror, forcing her and the public to confront uncomfortable truths. Yet the story didn't end with her destruction. The true power of that moment lay in what it awakened. Young Americans began engaging more with politics, not just as spectators but as participants. They talked about integrity, about listening, about the kind of country they wanted to inherit. Kennedy's words, though aimed at one person, echoed through an entire generation. Leadership is not a performance, it's a responsibility. In the end, the chamber's silence that day was remembered more than the noise. It was the silence of realization, of truth landing with such force that no rebuttal could stand. And as history recorded it, John Kennedy didn't just win an argument, he reminded America of something it had almost forgotten, that one honest line, spoken with clarity and conviction, can change everything.